Hello. Hello. Hello.
So close, yet so far. It's okay, chat. Alright, now comes the question. Now comes the $1,000 question on whether or not whether or not I'm like facing forward and all that kind of nonsense when I do this. Yeah, it works. Hi everyone, happy Sunday, happy Easter for those of you that celebrate it. Welcome, welcome. I hope you're all having a wonderful time. It has been oh so long. Who was here first? Tanmux was here first, resident Australia. Hi there, Tanmux. Ernezek, hello. Goldie, good to see you. Vol is here. Danny is here. Joe couldn't think of a name. Aim, welcome, welcome. I hope all of you are doing all right. I am so glad to be back into the streaming seat. I'm gonna be real with you. I had a genuine concern, like, you know, earlier this week because, you know, I came back home with a little bit of a nasally nose and all that kind of nonsense. I think I like the mix of jet lag and con crud from the lack of vitamin C going into my body might have played into it and such like that. So right now I am cookie for Vol. Here's your cookie, Vol. So right now I'm going through like a whole ton of whatsamahoozy, blah 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 blah. I'm going through a whole ton of like, you know, flu and cold kind of medicine and what have you to try and keep myself from, you know, losing myself and, you know, be in a appropriate health level, so then that way I can at least do this. It's going to be a short stream, I'm going to be real with you, because I have kind of booked myself a little bit too much this weekend. Because, like, Saturday I had to go to work, and then Sunday there's, like, an Easter, like, picnic thing that I need to go to, and I didn't bring anything for that Easter thing, so I'm gonna have to, like, I don't know, bring, like, chips or something like that. Hi there, Freckles! Welcome, welcome! Good to see you! Chat, be sure to give Freckles some love and attention this year, in the year of our Lord the Hoss. There needs to be more Hoss art. And we need to convince Freckles there needs to be more Hoss. Anywhoosies, so I have been gone for like 2 weeks from streaming. 2 whole weeks! Nothing from me for 2 whole weeks because, and amazingly enough, I was still surprising people with this thing, I was actually in Dallas, Texas last week. Longer than me. Oh, damn, yeah. So I was in Dallas, Texas last week. I was invited by the Unnamed Yeen because last year the Unnamed Yeen went to the Texas Furry Fiesta and they were like, oh my god, this is so much fun. But it would be so much more fun with more people. And so they're sending invitations to like all these different kinds of furries and what have you that they've met along the way. They've been streaming for like the last 3 years or something like that. If you don't know who the Unnamed Yeen is, actually, will it let me do the shout out this soon? No, I need to wait another 30 seconds. Anywhoosies. So I'm living here in Australia, Brisbane. Like, I'm living all the way down here, and Unnamed Yeen is inviting all these different kinds of people from all around the country. They're sending invites to people in California, in Washington State, in, like, North Carolina, Florida, Virginia. Like, they're sending them all over the fucking shop. And then they get to me, and they're like, Grant, you need to come to Texas Furry Fiesta. It is so much fun. I want you to come over. And I'm like, Unnamed, though? Like, I'm all the way in Australia. Like, what am I gonna do when I'm in Dallas other than the furry convention? They're like, come to Dallas. We're gonna have so much fun. We're gonna go to the Rainforest Cafe. We're gonna shoot some guns. I'm gonna take you to a Texas barbecue. You're gonna experience like proper American shit in the South. Or whatever region Texas is in. I don't fully remember the conversation because it was so long ago. But, anywhoosies, I said, you know what? Fuck it. I told myself I wasn't gonna go to any furry conventions just because people were like, oh, we assume you would go to it or anything like that. I would go to a furry convention if someone was like, You know what? I very much want to. The question is, did you try down to Rainforest Cafe? We did. I'll explain further. I have to do like a play-by-play. I have to do like a play-by-play of like where I am in the thing. Actually, I have an idea. I have an idea. Give me a minute. So I am going to add a text thing, because for any of you, anyone that's like you know, anyone that's like reading this, watching this from like YouTube and shit like that, may not appreciate the blah 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 blah. If my brain can work, ding dong, TFF timeline pre-flight. All right, so hang on, I need to find a better font. Blah 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 blah. We got. Oh, let's go with. Do I want to use quote? Yeah, I think I'm gonna use quote. All right, there we go. And then we're gonna have an outline. It's gonna be black. And it's going to be a little thicker than that. There we go. Let's go with 10. Alrighty. And then we do this. And then Control E, bounds. Fit in there. There we go. Oh, actually, hang on. Not that. Ding. Control E. And then the alignment is on the left. There we go. Alright, so... Because, like, I'm going to be doing, like, a play-by-play. So, so this is all before the flights and such like that. This is before I have to go flying, because it is a lot of work, like, going to a convention, quite frankly. And normally, when I go to the one in Australia, like, there's one in Australia called the Furry Down Under that goes off in Gold Coast, and I go to that one. I've gone to that one a few times, but one of the things that, like, the reason I didn't go to it last year and why I'm not going to it this year was simply because of the fact that every year I've put more and more effort into, like, you know, finding people or hanging out with them and such like that, and the return has not increased with the more effort and such like that. It is really tough trying to go to any convention, like furry, anime, or what have you, if you do not have a group or a posse already before the trip. If you, like, top tip, if you are going to a convention, whether it's furry, anime, gaming, business, what have you, you need friends, okay? You're not gonna make, like, you can make quick acquaintances when you're at the convention. That's kind of their point. But if you're going into a convention where it's predominantly, like, you know, introverted individuals, or, you know, small, like, niche connections, do go to these conventions with a posse, with a group, with a gang. So, like, even if it's just one other person who is, like, your local guide, please go with an additional peeps. Go with at least, like, 2 other peeps. Unnamed had the right idea in not only inviting me, but they invited Sunny, Bandito, Quinn, Frack, Fox. They invited, I think all up, they invited, like, 20 odd people or something. Like, they sent invitations to like 20 odd people. Hi there, Soylent Orange, welcome. They sent a lot of invites, and about 10 or 12 of them have shown up to this event. So highly recommend, when you go to any, like, you know, convention, get yourself a crew, get yourself a posse, because trying to gather people up for, like, a group at an event is a lot harder than doing it before the events. So yeah, so I had to, so for this one, for going to, you know, Dallas, Texas, I live all the way in Australia. Thank Christ Unnamed Gene told me about this last year, because what I had to end up doing was saving a lot of money. There was like a huge, like, I had to keep a text document and an Excel spreadsheet, and I was doing all the calculations. I was like, right, okay, so I need to figure out the approximate cost of booking flights. Booking flights will be approximately $4,000 if I go for, like, premium economy. It can be cheaper with normal economy, but let's be frank, if I'm going to be sitting in a chair for about 13 hours, I want that additional legroom and comfort. So premium economy it is. what's the cost of the hotel? We have to wait until the Conregio opens up. Conregio, that's another thing I need to get. Sorry, excuse me. There we go. Sorry. Got to give myself a water break. So yeah, so there's a lot of money that goes into traveling and such like that. And doubly so when it's an international flight and when you want to like try and do things with other peeps and what have you. So I'm going around like saving money where I can. Now it was a little bit easier when I'm on a diet shake where quite frankly, if I, I don't splurge on meals and such like that, any money that I saved on groceries can go into the savings of like, the Texas Furry Fiesta trip and all that kind of nonsense. I was also very fortunate that I didn't spend any of my money on the bonus I got last year. And then, fast forward to this year, I was able to get a bonus this year as well. So basically, I had like 2 bonuses worth of income, all of it contributing towards this trip towards Texas. And at this point, I had to pay for the hotel. I paid for the flight in full. I paid for the rego. I borrowed my sister's suitcase. So then because I'm going to this convention, I'm going to go to this convention in fursuit as well. So if any of you were lucky enough, you might have seen like, a striped zebra around. That was me. Hi. So I'm doing all this kind of savings and what have you. I'm doing my best trying to like, get my finances in order, and we start hearing some people that are not able to make it to the event, like Quinn, Bandito, Jenna, as opposed to the zebra without stripes. There can be zebras without stripes. We don't discriminate. Sorry, nose. So yeah, so there's like 1 or 2 people that are dropping out because difficulties with finances and such, because other shit happens, like a PC breaks down or car repairs and yada yada yada. There was a point in time where we weren't too certain if even unnamed was going to attend this thing, which I'm gonna be frank with you, would have greatly dampened the mood of going to this Texas Furry Fiesta, because basically like the one person who sent an invite to me and was organizing all of this very likely might not have come, which was very which would have been a very big dampener. But thankfully, because of the contributions of the Unnamed Genes audience and their moderators and such like that, you should go check out the Unnamed Gene, Unnamed 471. Because of them and their moderating crew and their community, they were able to secure like funds to be able to go to the Texas Furry Fiesta and not be in like financial constraints or poverty or any of that kind of nonsense. So yay for anyone that contributed to Unnamed Gene. It was a much deserved event, and I don't know if I would call it a holiday, because the entire time, actually I'm getting ahead of myself, Elf. We get to Monday. There we go. We get to Monday, where at this point
I have to elaborate because I don't know what I just said.
Hi there, Blue Foxy Nicey Icy. Welcome. Hope you're having a wonderful time on your holidays. So yeah, so we get to Monday. I have to leave early Monday morning, and like I'm very fortunate that I was able to get a direct flight from Brisbane to Dallas. Just a few years ago, like 4 years ago, if I wanted to get to Dallas, I probably would have to go Brisbane to Sydney, Sydney to LA, LA to Dallas, which is absolute, like, I would not have liked that, having like, 2 transfers just to get to one city. But thank Christ, like, gonna get back to my stream, be nice to hear from you. All good, Soylent Orange, hopefully you have a wonderful time streaming. So yeah, so I was very fortunate enough to fly out on the Monday morning, like early Monday morning. I had to wake up, get out of bed, and, get into an Uber by 5 o'clock. All so I can arrive at the airport before 8. The reason why is because airlines recommend you get to the airport like 3 hours before your flight. So then that way, if there's any issues with immigration, border security, or what have you, you're not going to miss your flight. Amazingly enough, I was able to get through all that kind of shit in lickety-split time. The only thing that was problematic was the kiosks. I was trying to, like, go through the... Like, they have, like, self check-in and such like that for American Airlines and Qantas and all them. But here's the thing. Also, what the fuck is under my foot? Oh, it's a sticker. Those kiosks are absolute shit. I don't know what it is about them, but they did not work for me. I don't know if it's because I had like multiple passports under my name, or the fact that I'm using it like an American passport when I'm in Australia, or whatever the reasons could be. But for whatever reason, I couldn't check into my Brisbane to Dallas flight, and I had to go to like an agent at the airport, and they're like, "Yep, what's your name? Yep, what's your passport? Where are you going to be spending your time most of the time in Dallas? Yep, okay, cool." And I asked them, like, what was wrong with the kiosk when I tried doing this? And they're like, computer is just shit. Cool, thank you. Yeah, computers are just shit. Let's go with that one. I'm an IT person. I think, like, if it is, like, some weird, like, configuration error, I would like to know if it's a configuration error on my behalf or their behalf. There we go. All right, so yeah, so I get through that in, like, 5 or 10 minutes. It takes another 15 minutes to go through the Hi there, resident Fed boy. You spelled Qantas wrong. That's how you spell Qantas, by the by. Any whoosies. So like, in 15 minutes, I'm going, like, it gets through security, or even quicker than that. And what's more is, like, I just had to, I just took my belt off, put it into a box, put my phone, like, things in my pockets, put my backpack in there, and you literally just, like, walk through the line, raise your arms in, like, some weird, like, measuring thingy-madiggy. It does, like, a little vroom. And then I still need to get pat down on my leg, because for whatever reason, there was something in my front right pocket that they couldn't scan. And they're like, "Do you have any keys on you?" And I'm like, "No." And they checked the front right pocket, and there's nothing in there. And I'm like, I don't know what you're about. Haven't flown since 2018. It's all right, resident Fed boy. Boy, I only flew most recently. But yeah, so the airlines are like, "Yes, you should arrive 2 to 3 hours before your flight in case of any issues with security and shit like that." I went through all of that shit in like 15-30 minutes. It took no time whatsoever. So yeah, so I'm waiting in the airline and all that kind of nonsense, just, lounging about and shit like that. And I saw a tweet that someone did in, like, the furry fandom, when they're like, "Oh yeah, furries will spend thousands of dollars on fursuit flights and accommodation, and they will look at you funny when you check if they've gotten rego." And I'm like, haha, and the joke was like, "Oh, they didn't even bother getting rego." And I'm like, couldn't be me. And then a thought ran through my head of, wait a minute, what if I didn't pay for my rego? Where's my email? So I'm, like, in the airport, like, with, like, 2 hours to spare, going through my emails, like, hang on, where is the rego? Because I typed in TFF in my emails, no record of TFF in my emails. I type in Texas Furry Fiesta, nothing in my emails for Texas Furry Fiesta. I thought for a good minute that I didn't have my rego at all. Turns out I did have my rego. The email subject header was Furry Fiesta 2026. It had no mention of Texas. It had no acronym TFF in the body or anything like that. For whatever reason, the email containing your Texas Furry Fiesta rego, like, QR code and shit like that, doesn't mention Texas Furry Fiesta. It just says Furry Fiesta 2026. Any whoosies. So, stop scaring yourself. I found it. All good. There's still another, like, hour and 50 minutes before my flight goes off. Thankfully, I get into my seat. I'm just sort of sitting there, bored out of my mind on going through the flight. Now, the good news is, because of time zone fuckery and shit like that, despite leaving Monday morning in Australia, I land Monday morning in Dallas, Texas. So long as I get a decent amount of sleep on my flight to Dallas, I shouldn't have too bad of a jet lag. When people talk about jet lag and shit like that, the reason why it's, like, such an issue is if you are going from, like, an egregious amount of time zone change. If you're doing a flight from, like, one side of Australia to the other, you're really only dealing with, like, a 2-hour, like, time synchronicity issue, which, let's be real, isn't that big of a problem. You're gonna have Like, you can stay awake for an extra hour or two and then get sleepy when the sun's down or something. When you go through long flights where it's like, oh yeah, here's an 8 to 10 hour flight, and your body is gonna think it's been 8 to 10 hours of the day, but because of time zone change, it's really only like 4 hours or 16 hours time change. Your body's just gonna be like, what the fuck is going on? I'm so tired, and it's only the middle of the day now. Thankfully, going from like, Brisbane to Dallas, I'm awake for 16. I'm on a flight for 16 hours. If I can fall asleep in the middle of that flight, my body will like get through a bit of a REM sleep or something like that. And so I leave in the morning. I'm spending most of the day traveling, fall asleep, and I wake up, and lo and behold, it's the morning when I wake up. So my body shouldn't have too disastrous of a thing with like, jet lag and shit like that. So that's the first thing. I didn't sleep too well, I'll be real with you. I don't know what it is about airline flights. I cannot sleep for more than like an hour on them tops. I will most honestly just be a case of like, what's that noise? Yeah, okay, well, I'm wide awake now. I look on my iPad and it's like, I'm so tired. I'm so bored. But the iPad is not fueling my, like, thingamadiggies. And I have, like, barely any energy to do anything, but I'm too wired to go to sleep. So that's what it was like. Imagine that, like, on and off again for, like, 13 hours. That was me. So I arrive in Dallas at, like, early in the morning, like 8 or 9, like 9 o'clock or something like that. Now, one of the things I budgeted for, it wasn't a guarantee, like, I wasn't 100% on it, but I booked ahead of time for this thing. Because I felt like going into Dallas, I might need a rental car. I had not driven in a good number of years in Brisbane, Australia, because, I was able to get to everywhere I needed to go, home, work, or whatever friends thingy-majiggy, via train. And if there was ever a period of doing something really weird, like going to Movie World or coming back from trivia or something like that, there was always like a circle of friends where I would just hitch a ride with them, and it costs like nothing. Worst case scenario, getting an Uber to, go to some random thing for like, family. But yeah, so with this one, with Dallas, I was like, maybe it's a good idea to get like to get a rental car rather than trying to rely on public transport. And Uber looks like it's going to be very expensive when I'm there. So I went ahead and booked like a compact sedan or something like that before I left. Now, I ideally would have picked up that compact sedan at 9 o'clock, but, my flight landed at 9 o'clock and I was still waiting for my bags and such, so I didn't actually get to, like, the rental car desk until, like, 10 a.m. or something like that. I get to the rental car thingamajig, and I'm like, hi, I've booked ahead for a rental car, and I wanted to go for, like, this cheap compact sedan because, I haven't driven in a number of years. I wasn't about to, like, relish in, like, some, huge ass pickup truck or something like that in Dallas. And the people at the front were like trying to upsell people and like, hey, I know you did this thing for this, but would you prefer a truck? It's in such good condition, and it's just, colloquial with Texans that you drive around in a truck. Wasn't interested in that. So I got up to it and I was like, hi, my name's Grant. Here's I showed on my phone, like, here's my booking details for this compact sedan. And they're doing their thing, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you booked for like 9 a.m., but it's like 10 o'clock. And I'm like, yes, I know, flights and such. And they're like, well, we don't have any compact sedans right now. The only options we have is this like BMW 5 Series. And I was just like, what? But I booked for a compact. And they're like, not to worry, we can do a discount on the luxury vehicle. And I'm like, what else do you have? Because I feel like that would be way too expensive. They're like, give me a moment. We can offer you a minivan. And I was just sort of like, that's even bigger. Like, no. At one point, I decided to just sort of be like, you know what? Fuck it. What is it was an extra like $100 or $250 a day. No, it was extra $50 a day, sorry. It was an extra $50 a day on top of my normal thing to get this luxury sedan. Now, the reason why I wanted to go for a sedan was because I didn't want to go for like a massive car, especially when trying to drive around the city or anything like that. So, instead of driving like a Nissan Verso or a Toyota Camry, GrantZeebs was driving a BMW 5 Series. I was driving a sedan that was well outside my income bracket. I was very much not in the right mindset, or I was very much not in the right vehicle for what I was and such like that. Actually, you know what I can do? Hang on a second. I am going to present to you. Hang on. Ding. I need to add the thingy-majiggy again. Dong. Dong. Bam. And then. Boom. So yeah, I am going to present to you, if I can find it. Wha-bam! Oh yeah, I had stickers with me. One of the things that Unnamed was like, hey, Grant, you're gonna be going to this event, you're gonna need stickers. You're gonna need to, you know, do the whole networking and such like that and have business cards and such. But anyusies, this is what I was driving. This fucking BMW right here, the BMW 5 Series. It was a swanky fucking piece of sedan. And what's more is it was a swanky fucking piece of sedan that had parking assistance, that had cruise control, that had CarPlay, or, you know, Apple Car thingamadiggy. Like, it had all these, like, bells and whistles in it. And here I was, like, driving out from the airport going, I'm not comfortable going from kilometers to miles per hour. I'm riding the speed limit, and there's fucking trucks just going well past the speed limit, and I was just like, what the shit? So yeah, now I arrived on the Monday. My booking with the hotel, I wasn't able to get a booking with the hotel to arrive on the Monday, but the Tuesday. That is worth more than the house I grew up in. Exactly. This is very much not the vehicle that this is very much not the vehicle for me's, is what it is. Like, hang on, I'm just gonna adjust the what's some whoozy thing. Hang on. Yeah. All right. Cool. There we go. All right. So yeah. So this vehicle right here very much was not, like, you know, meant for big Zeebs like me. Granted, that isn't saying much. Granted, you should say. Any whoosies. So this was the vehicle I had for Monday. Now, my hotel booking wasn't available until Tuesday, but one of the people going to Texas Furry Fiesta that actually was like a resident local of Texas was Sunny Gator. Hang on a second. Let me shout out Sunny Gator. Hopefully I spelt that correctly. Nope, that is not the correct Sunny. Hang on. Sunny the Gator. Sunny the Gator. Wait, what? Oh my god. Shout out. Oh my gosh. Come on. Sorry, I need to do some adjustments. Ding dong. Shout out with overlay. Add user login. When a shadow is created. I need to add a. Where's the Twitch command? Hang on. Recent triggers, favorite triggers. Here it is. Command triggered. And then I need the shout out. Yes, I understand this isn't what you probably want to see, but it is what it is. Test, quote, sound, Twitch. Do I not have a shout out? Okay, shout out. So, ding, dun dun. Shout out. FSO. Or shout out. Sorry, I'm just doing some moderators, streamers. Actually, no, not just moderators and bots. Ding. Moderation. Ignore bot accounts. Ignore internal messages. Enabled. Excluded. Cooldowns. There should be a global cooldown of, I'm just gonna say, 5 seconds, so then that way it doesn't like get everyone at once. Shout out. All right, here we go. So now if I go Sunny the Gator. What the oh my god. Why doesn't this work? Actually, by this point, I reckon 2 minutes have already passed. There we go. There we go. Sunny the Gator. She... Hang on. Am I getting the pronouns correct? I don't want to get this wrong. Okay, I'm not 100% certain. They... Alright. They are a resident Texan. So, I asked ahead of time, like, before I did this flight of, like, hey... My flight doesn't arrive. My flight arrives Monday because I'm able to save like $4,000 arriving on the Monday than the Tuesday, but my hotel doesn't allow me in until Tuesday. Are you all right if I like bum a couch or something like that for 1 day? And they were so sweet. They were like, yes, absolutely fine. Fine. Let me know when you're flying, and I can provide you. I can pick you up or provide an address. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna try and do a rental thingamajiggy. And they're like, awesome. Here's my address. So, I'm driving. Cracking open a cold one. Hang on. I am driving in this swanky BMW 5 Series. Trying to navigate, thankfully I have CarPlay, so it's able to give me the navigation and such like that to Sunny's place and what have you. And I go down some streets and shit like that.
I come up to you at a stop sign and offer to wash your windshield for $5. I walk away because I realize you're in the same tax bracket.
Yep.
I mean SMART.
SMRT. So yeah, so one of the I need to get rid of that thing. There we go. So yeah, so one of the so I'm driving like, on like a highway and such like that, which was like, a little weirdly stressful because I'm trying to go to speed limit, oftentimes, going maybe a mile or two above the speed limit because I have a fucking lead foot apparently in this BMW. You barely need to put your foot on the accelerator for this fucker and it's just going boom. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm trying to make my way to Sunny's place, and they I finally get onto the small road, and I'm on a small street or something like that, and I'm like, hey, I'm like, I think I'm at the right place, and they send me a Discord message back saying, are you the one in the BMW? And I was like, yes, exactly, that is me. And then I'm just sort of like I see one person go into a car and pull away, and I'm like, hang on, checks the address, and that is like someone's thingy-majiggy. So then BMWs are for people who can afford a daily traffic ticket. I could not afford that. So I go and I like pull up behind like this other car that was still there, and I meet Sunny the Gator. Absolutely wonderful person. And they're like, hi, Grant, it's great to see you. And like we give a hug, and I'm like, okay, I just parked there. Is it alright? And they're like, yep, that's absolutely fine. I'm like, cool. I'll leave my suitcases in here because, like later or something like that, but I will at least grab my backpack. So I go and grab my backpack, and like, we hang out for a little bit. It was absolutely wonderful. They had a lovely home. They're they've got like a couple housemates and such like that. Wealthy fur alert. Hey, who's the where's the wealthy furry? Where's the suspiciously wealthy fur, Blue? I don't see him. Anywho, but yeah, so they've got like a number of housemates and such like that. BMW driving looking ass. This was a rental first and foremost. But yeah, so hide this for a quick minute. So yeah, so there I was like in their home. Now I don't do a lot of decoration in my own place. Like I am a very those liminal spaces or those men's survival spaces where there's barely anything in them except for like a chair and the desk. Like that's kind of my situation living here on my own, is I don't have that much decoration going around. I'm very utilitarian and such like that, which is why like when you look at this kind of place here, like behind me, it is very much a, this is not common. This is not how I live. I live with even fewer things in my apartment than what you see behind me. Any whoosies. So, their place is decorated oh so lovingly. There's some goth shit on one wall, there's some anime figurines, there's American Eagles, there's all kinds of stuff. It was amazing. It was cozy. I fell in love with their place, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that morning, relaxed a little bit. I was introduced to their cat, Gigi, I think their name was, and turns out we needed to go to the mall because Sunny Gator, alongside me, was part of like a t-shirt exchange that one of Unname's moderators tried organizing. So what we decided to do to try and get myself more comfortable in driving in this fucking luxury sedan, I took Sunny to the mall. They told me about a mall, all that we could go to for all kinds of shirts and shit like that. And it's a mall, hang on, ding dong. It's a mall with a giant fucking obelisk in the middle of the mall. Apparently there was like several of these, like back in the 1990s when this mall was first constructed, but this is all that's left. Just this giant fucking obelisk. Like, it's 2 stories of mall with an even bigger fuck off roof. Kind of reminds me of like the Sunny Coast, like Sunshine Plaza. That's a warp point for fast travel. Damn it. Sunny made me drive when we could have just used a warp point. Goodness gracious. Excuse me. Yeah. So we go driving. I try and get more comfortable driving in this BMW, and I take Sunny to the mall. So then that way we can go into like some clothing stores and find a shirt for a shirt exchange. I believe we go into a space called Spencer's, where there's a mixture of furry shit, not safe for work shit, and anime stuff. So Sunny found the shirt that they wanted. We stopped off in the food court that was over there, and we did a little drive back. On the way back, look what I found. Look at that. Scribbly Noodle has an ice cream stop. Z, you didn't tell me you had your own ice cream store that it's like franchised all across the United States of America? Look at that, it says Z Stop. Absolutely wild. Scribbly Noodle doing all kinds of fucking nonsense. So yeah, don't ask where the milk is stored. It's sourced. No, it's not important details. That's industry secrets, all right? So yeah, drive there, find a shirt, found this shop, took a photo, drove back to Sunny's place, and it's getting like in the late afternoon, and even though I drove like for a little bit in this car, like the thought started occurring to me, I am not comfortable driving this car, and I'm doing it in like, this, neighborhoody kind of place. I'm not even in the city of Dallas. I'm nowhere even close, and I'm nervous driving this thing in the quiet places. I think I'm going to have an even shittier time trying to drive this in Dallas, where everything is like, like cities and shit. And I don't drive in the cities that often. So I decided I'm going to try and find I'm going to try and swap the rental out for something cheaper. On the way, I found this place. I am fucking stunned. Like, this was, we found this on the way back to the mall. Like, it's just, like, it's on a cul-de-sac, but it just, I don't have another photo of it, but basically, it was just littered with Dallas Cowboys memorabilia. And I'm pretty sure the way Sunny explained it to me is that there are some places where they turn themselves into like a touristy museum or like a memorial thing, and this was one of them. A Dallas, like, I'll be real with you, I know King of the Hill is not a real depiction of Texas. I understand it's a caricature at best, but you look at this shit and you don't tell me that this is something you would see in King of the Hill. I've watched King of the Hill. I think it's a fantastic TV show. But the fact that there's just this giant Dallas Cowboys like memorial home or something like that on a cul-de-sac, with all these other homes, it really does feel like they just got a slice of King of the Hill and just moved it into real life. It was insanity. So yeah, like after we drive back and such like that, I'm looking around trying to thank you for the head pats, Angrel. I go online and I check like the car rental place of like, okay, can I get a cheaper rental? And I was able to find that they had a Toyota Camry available, and I'm like, hey, can I return this particular vehicle and, have the Toyota Camry instead? And they're like, yep, that's doable, and we'll just, make it so that the thingy-majiggy was returned this day and you picked up a different one. I'm like, yep, awesome, cool. Few hours later, I double-checked my rental thingy-majiggy. The BMW, I was able to get, like, extra insurance on there because I didn't want to be liable for any kind of damage or dents or anything like that, especially if it wasn't my fault when I have it parked in the city. I have a look at the agreement for the Toyota Camry. It did not have that. It did not give me the option either to put, like, an extended warranty or insurance thingy-majiggy on it. So whatever damage was going to happen to the Toyota Camry, I would have been liable for. I do not have that kind of money on me, and I was like, I'm not dealing with this shit. I'm just going to return the rental thingy-majiggy and be done with it day one. I am not going to go for another car rental. I'm just going to fuck around with, like, Ubers and public transport when I get into Dallas and shit. And so that's what I did. So instead of spending approximately, like, if I kept the BMW or any kind of rental car, I would have spent at least $1,000 or $1,600, around about that kind of price range, on a rental car for a week. It was not worth the stress. It was not worth the anxiety. My mom, like, of all the times my mom is extra, like, scared. Like, she was, like, by the by, she was scared shitless of me going to Dallas, Texas. She was so worried. She was like, Grant, what if you get detained at the airport? What if ICE checks your phone? What if you get held up? Like, what if you get into an accident? What if you get shot? Like, all these concerns. And she very much was on the side of, oh, I don't think you should get a rental car because you don't do that much driving here in Australia. So I feel like you shouldn't be getting a rental car for, going around Dallas, which is going to be an even weirder thing because, Americans are more aggressive drivers than Australians. So yeah, so I wasn't 100% on that one, but after a day of driving around in a BMW Series 5, I have to agree with my mother. I was not suitable for, driving around in, like, in America with the kind of, like, slight stress I was having, and I didn't want to try and go to a cheaper rental with no insurance on it to try and, like, ease myself. So I was like, I went back to the airport. I had to go back to the airport at, like, 9 in the evening or something like that in order to, like, do the proper thing. I didn't get to the front desk until 10 o'clock because there was people in the evening trying to rent cars and such. And I was like, look, I originally rented for, like, a Nissan Verso. They said there wasn't any available. I went for this BMW. I was really nervous about driving it. And any attempt in trying to go to, like, a cheaper car, they wouldn't put the insurance on it. I just want to return this and be done with the rental altogether. And Texans drive like army convoys in Iraq. It does feel like that. Like, they're just going zooms, like, just like at or above the speed limit. It was absolutely insane. Any whoosies. So I returned the vehicle, and instead of dealing with, like, a rental for, like, a week long, I decided to end it on that day. The front desk lady was so nice. She was able to organize, even though I returned it, like, technically after hours, she made it so that the return was immediately at the end of, like, the daytime shift or something like that. So I was only seen as renting a car for the day. So rather than spending, like, $1,600 on renting, like, an expensive car with warranty and shit like that for the entire week, I was seen renting a BMW for one day. So yeah, so I was very fortunate enough to, also I need a height. So I was very fortunate to have been only doing a rental for, like, for the one day. God damn it, resident femboy. Fed boy, not fem. Fed. My bad. That was a Freudian slip if it ever was anything. So yeah. Tuesday Tuesday is the official start of me being in Dallas. Sonny the Gator, bless them. They let me sleep over at their place. We had pizza. It was fantastic. Next thing you know, I'm going down to Dallas. Hi there, Angrel. That's fortunate with the car. Yeah. So Sonny the Gator goes and helps me get into Dallas City. And as we're driving through, it's a bit of a long drive. It's like 40 minutes long or something crazy like that. Most of it is highway as well, so they're going breakneck speeds and shit. We go over this particular bridge, which I thought was kind of cool, so I took a photo of it. So yeah, it was rather cool to see and what have you. And yeah. Any whoosies. So yeah, so we arrive in the excuse me. We arrive in the main hotel for the Texas Furry Fiesta is the Sheraton Hotel. So I was lucky enough to have the main con hotel as the hotel I was staying at. The reason why I picked the main hotel is because, I have a fursuit. So it's usually better to be in the same hotel that the thing is being hosted in. I was not aware at the time that, because this doesn't happen in I didn't see this happen before, but there's a skywalk thingamadiggy between the Sheraton and 2 other places. So even if I was in a different hotel that was in the same block as the Sheraton, there would never come a point where I'd be out and about on the streets. I would just easily just go into this skywalk and walk across to the convention hall. Glad to meet you. Hi there, Furry Romo. Welcome. I'm just going through the timeline of the Texas Furry Fiesta and all that kind of shit. So yeah, so Tuesday rolls about. I'm now officially in Dallas, and there's more people from Unname's crew that is coming along into Dallas as well. So I check in, and we go about we go about waiting for other people to check in. I meet up with Amp the Unknown, Victoria, Frack, Unnamed, Sonny was there, Clarkson the Otter, that's another, so there was a few of us around and such like that. And so one of the things we decided to do was go about on the public transport to some of the different things we would do on day one. And one of the things, and so we're going to the train station, or not a train station, but a tram station. I'm trying to get the app on my phone because turns out in Brisbane, in Queensland, I should say, we have these travel cards or something Go cards, but more recently they've now made it so you can use Visa and debit cards to swipe on and off the trains. 50-cent fare. That's it. 50-cent fare for however many zones or however far away you are from your original destination. And it was absolutely great. So in this one, however, you get a digital card or something like that, and you don't tap on and off with it. Instead, you purchase a ticket for a set period of time. And for me, it costs $3 American to get a day worth of ticket time, but a day doesn't mean 24 hours. A day means that it goes on until the end of the day, 1 a.m. the next day or something like that. So if you purchase the ticket at the start of the day, 9 a.m., it's $3. If you purchase the ticket at midnight, it's still $3. So real annoying kind of bullshit like that. But hey, we're going to the train station, and we see our first piece of furry art. Look at that, fucking Jawoo. Jawoo, just some fucking woo art right there. Absolutely hilarious. So, but yeah, so we're going on the we're going through the public transport system and what have you. I think at one point we then swapped over to ours because each of us was able to slot in with, because I think there was 6 of us in total at this point. Me, honey, yeah, 6 of us. There were 6 of us so far on Tuesday, And so we went into cars later on, and we went to some place called Cavender's. It's a boot shop. And like, this is what you're met with when you first go into Cavender's. Like just all this fucking Texan shit. Like, look at that. There's a fucking mug where the handle is a gun. It's a fucking revolver of all things, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. There's like a dish with a cow's head. There's like these, like, you know, these different animal candles, which I thought was kind of neaties. And so we're going around in Cavender's, because one of the things I decided to put on my list of things to do while in Dallas, Texas, cowboy hat. And we went into this Cavender's looking to find some cowboy hats. Now, I don't have any pictures of us with the cowboy hats because we put them on our heads, and I'm not about to DDoS myself on purpose showing off all these hats that we were trying on and such. But one of the other things that you will see, which I thought was really funny, was that this was one of the display models at Cavender's, showing off the fucking toes with boots, belt, and a shirt, and this is the head they go for. Fucking Cavender's, just having furry shit just out and about, just like, yes, like, this is what a cowboy is. That the cowboys are coming into Cavender's, which I thought was absolutely fucking hilarious. Who is he? That is clear. I don't know who that is. That could be, Happy Easter, Grant. Hi there, Cab. Welcome, welcome. I'm just going through my Texas Furry Fiesta, story and what have you. So, yeah, you know, this was honestly funny. I found myself a hat. So, I don't have, like, basically, if you want to have an idea of what the hat looks like, just imagine... Hang on. Where is my... Ding dong ding? There we go. Shirts. Nope. Props. Just imagine a hat like this. This was I went for a hat like this, and it, like, I was a little nervous at first getting a hat, but one of the things that, like, once I put the hat on, I was kind of just beaming. I was just so happy with myself. And I think I heard, like, someone on the side in our group just being like, fuck, that actually works for him, which was so great. And what's more is, you know, my accent is a bit of an amalgamation and shit like that. But as I was hanging around Unnamed, Frax, Sonny, Clarkson, and such like that, and then I'm wearing this fucking cowboy hat, slowly but surely, I was starting to invoke some of the colloquialisms, like irregardless, and, like, you know, just having that little Texan drawl. Like, I was slowly adopting myself into, like, the Texan environment, and it was so much fun. So yeah, so it was very tempting also getting boots, but considering I just had I still had like $1,600 tied up with the rental car company, I wasn't exactly enthusiastic of spending more money than I had at this point. So we didn't go for boots, but we at least went for hats. So on our way back, we're going through, like, you know, we go through like a drink store or something, or like a bottle shop and such like that. And on the way back, we find this fucking Zenless Zone Zero fucking wrap on a car, which was absolutely crazy to see. Like, honestly, nutty. Fantastic. Loved it. It was so good. It was a blink and you miss it car hit. But yeah, now this is where I was staying. It was a 2 queen size bedroom hotel. The reason why I picked that is because I understood that when I, you know, got this hotel in the Sheraton, in the con, that there was going to be someone that was going to be like, hey, can I bum a seat from you, or, you know, leave my fursuit up here, or, you know, spend a night here. I understood that was going to happen to me at least once. And so I was like, let me get the 2-bedroom, let me get the 2-bed kind of rental. And it did end up happening because the unknown Cramp came in to Dallas in nothing but a truck. They had been driving for like 14 hours. Absolute fucking insanity. And they drove here without a hotel reservation, and they needed a few because they weren't going to be here the entire time. I think they were arriving like Wednesday or something like that. So they needed a place to like hit their head to sleep and such like that, but also leave the Doug Dimmadome hat. So I said, you know what? That's fine. Anywhoosies, this was the view I got. Look at this, like, nothing but a brick fucking wall. That's my view, a brick wall. Now you may be wondering, oh, is that the entire section? Not exactly. If I angled myself, like, you know, all the way over to the right, then you could see a little bit of Dallas. Unnamed was being funny and was like, oh, hey, I guess this is where the room party is. No. Fuck off with that. I will attend room parties, but I am introverted as fuck. So if I don't want to deal with people and I am exhausted, I would like to be able to retreat to my room. And I have no idea how soon my social battery will deplete. So for all I know, I could be up and at 'em in the middle of the night, or I'm done with people in 4 in the afternoon. I need my space. Drinking the last of my iced coffee, and now there's only the Pepsi. So yeah, so that was Tuesday, and now we move on over to Wednesday. There we go. Sorry. Now we move on over to Wednesday, where so this was gifted to me by Cramp. We were like to share. Sorry, I should mention it's to share. This, like, all Trapper, like the double eagle coins, this jerky, normally, like, the way Cramp explains it is like this was a decent jerky, but they can only ever get, like, you know, 2 or 3 pucks or like these discs in them. I was grabbing like 2 or 3 pucks at a time. I fucking loved jerky. Beef jerky, honestly, for me, was so fucking delicious. I just, like, meats. I very much love meats, okay? Deli meat, drive meat, burgers. Oh no, I'm in danger. But yeah, beef jerky, absolutely loved it. If I was a more adventurous Zeebs, I would have purchased some beef jerky to take with me back home, but I didn't want to deal with border security and shit like that. At this point, I also get a picture, like, we get a picture of Unnamed Jean's hyena. This is a hyena plushie, which we're just gonna consider as Unnamed Jean, and I thought it was really, you know, lovely doing like a little photo of the yin looking out the window with a reflection of the yin. It was very emotional looking, and I thought it was really cool. Now, this is my fursuit head, and that's the cowboy hat I purchased. I have this cowboy hat now sitting somewhere in my home. So I'm not going to wear this cowboy hat very often, but I was wearing it nearly every day when I was over in Dallas. I was a little bit nervous wearing it on my own and such like that. I very much was more of a fan of wearing it when anyone else in the group started wearing their cowboy hat. But the way it was explained to me by both Frack and Unnamed was the fact that I'm in Dallas. People wear cowboy hats. It totally works fine with you. It's nothing crazy out of the wilds. And then there's me with the cowboy hat again, and this was a crocheted zebra. This crocheted zebra was made by Unnamed's wife. She was doing such a lovely job. This was made like a year or 2 ago, but I never picked it up. So this was one of the other reasons to go into Dallas, Texas. I spent $4,000 on a flight and an extra $100 and something on Rego and another couple $1,000s on a hotel. Also, I can pick up this tiny boy. Oh yeah, and then Lycan was here. Lycan wasn't here, but apparently one of the things you can do is you can just buy yourself a cutout. You just go to an Office Works. This cutout was apparently like $4 or something like that. There was a 6 foot tall or 5 foot tall there was a big cutout. It was like 6 foot tall or something like that, and that cutout was $10, and that was sitting in a hotel room and such like that with Sly. And then they started setting up the Texas Ferry Fiesta, so there was that there. And then this was in the lobby where it's like the theme, so like I don't know how long this has been a theme, but basically every year furry conventions will normally try and do a costume theme in the year. So this year's was Starpeat, which is obviously a play on Starfleet. And the idea was, it's just sci-fi fun, utopian nonsense. I did not set up my fursuit to be able to do like, that kind of nonsense. So I was quite simply just wearing the zebra head and, with my himbo shirt and what have you. So for Wednesday, we go around to a mall in Grapevine, which is a bit of a drives out. And I came across this Build-A-Bear, and I saw these fuckers. I saw these Pokemon plushies, which I thought was really funny to see in a Build-A-Bear. Because I don't know about you, Eevee and the Evolutions are not bears. But I had to share this to Blue, and like Blue was just sort of like, Grant, this is amazing. You need to get one of these. And I'm like, but Blue, it's a Build-A-Bear and it's $40 American. And Blue is just like, that doesn't matter. It's worth. Hang on, let me go to the chat. Let me go to the chat real quick and double check what they tell me. I'm like, Build-A-Bear, and they're like, I need Flareon. Not I want Flareon. I need Flareon. Blue, if you're there, Blue, you didn't need Flareon. You need to learn your words. You wanted Flareon. What? Like, Flareon, you went to, like, I showed you this picture as a joke, and you were like, I need it. You looked at this Flareon, thankfully not the Vaporeon, otherwise I would have really questioned it. You looked at the Flareon and you were like, I need it. And I'm like, no, you don't. And then they're like, I do. And I'm like, it's $40 American. And Blue was like, that's good. So that's happening there. And, I thought there was nothing else going on in regards to, that thing. I am missing Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Sylveon. Hi there, Lord Secret Spy. Welcome. So yeah, so I go past the Build-A-Bear not thinking anything of this interaction with Blue just being obsessive over the Build-A-Bear. And we go and stop off at the Rainforest Cafe. I kept saying Rainforest as if I was talking about the furry con, but anywho, we're at the Rainforest Cafe. Me, Sunny, Clarkson, Frack, Unnamed, Fox, and Victoria. Boris? Was Boris with us by this point? There was a number of us. There was a number of us at this thingy-majiggy. And also I took a picture of the gator because, Sunny Gator. So yeah, so we sit down in this Rainforest Cafe. We're at a table holding like 10 people or something like that. We have this giant fucking gorilla, her tits out. Granted, this isn't a real gorilla. This is just an animatronic, but this gorilla at random intervals in the afternoon, like the lights would flash and there would be like, there would be like thunderstruck noises and such, and then all of a sudden the gorilla would just be like, they would just fucking scream and like unga bunga. It was a little bit funny, but it was a little bit shocking when it happened. But yeah, so we go and so that was our time in the What's Mahoozy. I went and got myself a burger, and they gave me the burger. Hang on a second. They gave me the burger disassembled. No. Like, look, America. I know you're like, really good with your burgers and shit like that, and you will do like some weird bastardization of other foods like, pastas and pizzas and what have you, but this shit don't fly. I don't care about like whether or not it has pickles, all right? If you feel like it needs pickles
or onions, go ahead. But quite frankly, if I'm ordering a burger, just give it to me all in one go. Don't put the toppings on the sides for me to grab with my grubby little fingers to put on top of. Also, that pickle is too thick, okay? You need to do like what McDonald's does. Also, hi there, Ozloop. Welcome. Hope you're having a wonderful time. I'm just relaying my story of, going through Texas Furry Fiesta and my trip in Dallas. So far, no fucking furry shit is happening. It's just a lot of, Dallas shit is happening. Hopefully you had a wonderful time playing Resident Evil 6 with, Kaisi? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that name correctly. But yeah, like, come on, Rainforest. Like, you don't need to be this bougie. Just put the pickles and the lettuce and the onions on the burger, okay? I don't need this deconstructed shit. So yeah, a little overpriced, but you know what? It's fine. Like, the Rainforest Cafe was for an experience, okay? It was just, it was just for jest and such like that. It was a little overpriced in regards to getting his burgers and such like that. Fox went for like a platter of like entrees or something like that and shared it with Unnamed and Frack. They didn't finish the platter. The absolute weakness out of, hey, little Incineroar, what are you doing? What are you doing showing off my titties? God damn you. But yeah, so they didn't really do that good of a job in clearing out their appetizers and such like that. I absolutely huffed down all of this shit. It was fairly delicious though, still, all things considered. I just don't know if I would have spent like, $30 American on having a burger that I had to construct myself and deal with like sticky pickle fingers. But yeah, so we go through more of the Grapevine Mall. I find this, I see this sign posted around, WeebCon. I'm gonna be real with you. I was not expecting to find a convention that's just WeebCon. And also, Gaylord. What kind of a, Texas, are you okay? Are you good? Who in the fuck did you have as Gaylord Texan Resort and Convention Center? Who the fuck is Gaylord? You good? Like, did the WeebCon pick Gaylord because of the fucking Gaylord? Or is that just the best option they had at the time? Absolutely hilarious. And they just had this sign posted outside a fucking Gap and you can't see it behind you, but there was also a Lego store here. So yeah. Also, I got myself a Stanley Cup. And I decided to, I need to do an updated photo at one point, but I did put, there's more stickers on this Stanley Cup. This 40-ounce fucker has a lot of furry stickers on it. Am I taking this with me to work? No. Am I going to be taking this with me on a car ride? Maybe not. Do I appreciate the Stanley Cup riddled with stickers? Abso-fucking-lutely. So, there's more stickers. I'll need to do, a photo at one point or something or rather. So yeah. Oh yeah. So is this Wednesday still? No, this is we're now entering into Thursday. We're now entering into Thursday, and turns out nope, keep the subtitles. Turns out, while I was sleeping, Blue Foxy Nicey Icy decided to go on stream, and they went on apparently a full-on fucking rant about these figurines. They went on a full-on fucking rant about the fact that I showed them this $42 Pokemon Flareon from Build-A-Bear and were like, Grant, I need this plushie. You should give me this plushie. It is very much worth it. They went on this tirade for so long that my girlfriend, who was missing out on, me in Dallas, Texas, was like, oh, I'm just gonna watch, one of Grant's friends' streams and see how they're doing. She goes and watches Blue Foxy Nicey Icy stream, and he's having a fucking tirade. He's having a whinge about the fact that there's a Flareon Build-A-Bear, and that I didn't say, absolutely, King. I'm gonna absolutely purchase this thing first thing you know. They were so upsetties that I woke up the next day, Thursday, with text message from my girlfriend going, is it true that there was a Flareon Build-A-Bear? And I'm like, how do you know this? And she's like, because Blue told me about this and was so upset that you didn't purchase one. And I'm like, Are you fucking kidding me right now? He was so upset. Blue, are you still in here? I think you are still in here. So yeah, because he's missing like 1, 2, 3. He's missing like 4 different evolutions. Both of them, 2 of them right here. So yeah, so I get shit. I get the shit kicked into me not only by Blue, but now my girlfriend Artemis Snap about the fact that there was some evolution Build-A-Bears, and I'm like, is it really worth it? $42 for a Build-A-Bear evolution? And she says, yes, absolutely. So, at one point or another, I'm going to need to try and find this evolution again. Now, fast forward back to Thursday. We do a little bit of walking around and such like that. I'm in FERT. You have no idea about plush prices. You're right, I don't. I'm not a plushy person, okay? I'm one of those peeps where I am just going to, like, have no understanding of, like, the cost of things, alright? I live in Australia where the price of video games varies between $8 to $110. Like, I have no clear sense of what is worth it and what is not worth it. And I'm gonna be frank with you, something over $20 American for something childish, I'm not 100% certain is worth it. And I understood that Pokemon might do a little bit of an upcharge thing because it's an established IP and shit. You saw me get Zinogre for $25. Wait, what? You didn't tell me how much the Zinogre cost. Oh, by the by, chat, Blue Foxy Icy, huge Monster Hunter fan. They went and got themselves a Zinogre plush. I asked them why they didn't get Rajang. They said they couldn't find it. I go out of my way to find a Flareon plushie, and they can't be bothered looking for the Thunder Monkey from Monster Hunter. But yeah, so Thursday, I'm going around the convention halls and what have you in fursuit. I don't have that many pictures of me in fursuit. I am going to be real with you because I don't have a fursuit handler. I feel like it would be like, actually, for those of you that are in fursuit, how the fuck do you get yourself a fursuit handler? Like, is it a case of you are paying someone to be like a chaperone to you? Or is it like, just some weird, like trip where they're like, yes, you, sir, I'm going to grace you with my presence by having you walk around with me and carrying my things and taking photos when I demand it. It is very important that I have a handler. Like, I don't understand the relationship of the fursuiter and the handler. Like, is it a paid thing? Is it a friends thing? Like, how do I get myself a handler? Because I'm gonna be frank with you, I feel like a strong, independent Zeebs. I don't, like, I want a handler, but I want it for, like, some of the weirdest fucking things where it's like, I want them to be able to hold, like, the stickers and, like, my fan and maybe, like, a camelback snack or water or something like that. Because, like, the handler, I don't really need them to help me, like, navigate the convention hall. I need them to help take pictures of me with other furries and shit like that. I don't know how to do that kind of thing. Wait till I go to Japan. Noted, you're gonna go to Japan. Anywhoosies. Back to the whatsamahoozies. So we go around, like, the convention halls and such. We take a few photos. I get invited into like going out to eat with Fiona Murray and like a couple dozen other furries. There was a whole ton of us, and we went to something called Genghis Grill. It was absolutely delicious. I went for the hot and spicy fried rice. I finished that shit all in one sitting. Once again, there's someone else that's at the table and they don't finish their stuff in one sitting. I don't understand what it is about America. They go for bigger portions, but more often than not, they don't finish the bigger portions. What is up with that? Why do you get bigger portions if your populace doesn't even eat all the portions? Just go with the smaller portions. On the way back, I'm getting driven even like a passenger princess, and I find this Sheraton photo. Now, this doesn't really show it, but up in the top here, like these like windows
Here, there's a fucking rave going on. There's flashing lights up the wazoo. It was insane. I had to take a photo of that. Also, there was this thing here. Hang on. I was driving around. We were driving around with unnamed Gene again. Fast forward to Friday. There's a random Shrek stuck on the back of this like Nissan vehicle. In the evening, we get through a little like having a little bit of a room party. It is absolutely fantastic. This is everyone that was like invited or involved in unnamed Yeen's community, and we all like whether we were going to Texas Furry Fiesta or not. We all contributed like a PNG to go onto this little banner here that was printed for the room party. There's Boris, there's me. They have it cropped out, but I'm about to drink something. There's Doobles and there's Frack, dead. Dooble Bear, Dewey. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not really great with names. Oh, there's Sunny Gator. There's Quinn. There's Victoria. There's Jenna. I don't know who that is. That's Lycan. I don't know who that is. That's unnamed. I don't know who that is. That's Cramp. That's Bandito, I want to say. I don't know who that is. Maybe that's MJ. There's Clarkson the Otter. I believe that's Clarkson the Otter. And then there's Fox. I don't know why Fox decided to go so hyper realistic. But there's Fox right there. I'll be real with you. Actually, also, shout out to Fox, okay? Hang on. Let me just make sure I'm getting the name correctly because Sly_Fox. I'm gonna be real with you, chat. You have to wait a minute and 14 seconds. God damn, because Fizz Tiger get in. Grant's model in a cowboy hat when? When indeed. Any whoosies. So, can I do the I have to wait another minute and 14 seconds. So yeah, so I'll be frank with you. We were in this room party. People are getting drinks and what have you, and I tried to we do like a TikTok skit. I don't know when the TikTok skit will be posted, but I'll probably follow up with unnamed Gene about it. But basically there was a recording of this, like, I don't know how this TikTok came to be, but it was recorded and set up like it was almost like a sports documentary or something like that. Where it's like, this moment of like, oh yeah, the underdog is doing the one final thing and everyone's surrounding them like, what is this underdog doing? Any whoosies. There's basically a TikTok out there of someone taping 40 ounces to their hands and they're like, what is he doing? And another guy's like, he's doing an ancient tradition of old. He's doing Edward 40 hands, where he's taping 40 ounces to each hand, and they cannot be removed until he's finished both of them. And then the guy comes around, and he's gonna help the guy. He's like, "What is he doing?" "I'm gonna help him tape his hands." Why would you do that? Don't you see? He can't get drunk like us. He can't get cronked or whatever the phrase was. Trashed. It doesn't matter how you get trashed, but that you get trashed. And he's helping him tape the hands and such like that. So we decide to reenact that with me in a fursuit head with my himbo shirt, trying to tape on these 40 ounces on my hands. So that's gonna be a TikTok at some point, hopefully. I don't know when. So yeah, any whoosie. So I'll be frank with you though. I didn't go through the 40 ounces. I'm not a heavy drinker. Because I was a heavier dude, don't get me wrong, there is some drinks where it's it can take a little bit for me for the booze to hit me just because of, body processing and shit. But I've never figured out, the rate, how much and how quickly I need a drink to get the buzz. I don't know how to do it. So, but yeah, we didn't do I didn't go through the Edward 40 ounces. We did it as a TikTok skit. I went through half a bottle, I think. So I've gone through maybe 20 ounces of some real shitty lager. And then I, had a Moscow Mule or something like that. Oh, and there was soup. I don't know why there was soup, but there was soup from the Olive Garden in this hotel. And it was absolutely delicious. I really loved the soup. And I am, this is the thing. Now that I can shout out Sly Fox. There we go. This guy right here, Sly Fox, I only knew of them through unnamed Gene, and I didn't have too much one-on-one time with them. But when we were in this hotel, granted, this hotel room, Sly Fox's, we're watching from a Nintendo Switch, held by Sly Fox. I'm sitting down enjoying soup, sitting beside Sly Fox. And I'll be frank with you, Sly Fox, if you're here, I feel like we're kindred spirits. I feel like you and I would hit it off so well if we ever do a stream collab or some shit like that. I reckon it would work. Because, yeah, like, you and I, we've gone through Monster Hunter. Like, we have an appreciation of, like, the spicy foods. Like, I feel like you're going through Kingdom Hearts right now, and it's, like, your first time experience. I've already gone through Kingdom Hearts. Like, there's all this kind of stuff that I'm like, you know, there could be something, like, there could be a great friendship formed from this, like, from this travel. You and I, like, kindred spirits and shit like that, I feel like. And I really would love to, like, hang out with you more and, like, even do a collab at one point in the future. But yeah, they were fucking awesome, all right? They also played a little bit of Smash. We also did, like, Smash Bros in the hotel room. It was absolutely fantastic. At one point, hang on, I need to double check where the... Yeah, no, we're still on to Friday. At one point... we're trying to get to the rave or what have you. There's no photos of the rave because I don't want to dox anyone. I'm in Fursuit Head. We're going up to the rave. We're waiting at the elevators. Once again, Elevator Con is very much a thing. It doesn't matter which convention you go to. If it's in a hotel, you're going to deal with Elevator Con. So we're waiting at the elevator and shit like that. And I think there was someone in our friend group lost their vape. And then they found it again. And apparently this was a very important vape because this wasn't your any kind of normal vape. This was like one of those like medicinal vapes. And they were like, hey, do you want to have a hit? And I was just like, fuck it. I'll go for it. Hi there, Nom the Nom. Welcome, welcome. It was LineCon. Ah. But yeah, so we're waiting to try and get up to this rave. I'm a little tipsy, but a little exhausted, wearing a fursuit head and shit. And I go, fuck it. Yeah, I'll take a hit. And I take a big long suck of like, I think it was like THC or some bullshit like that. Basically a weed pipe. Excuse me. So yeah, so I take a hit. Like everyone else has gone up to this rave. I'm still waiting for the elevator. At one point, I got tired of waiting for this elevator. So in Fursuit Head, I go from like the 20th floor up to the 36th floor. I walk up like 16 flights of stairs in a fursuit head trying to get to this rave. Absolute insanity. I finally get to it, and everyone else is having a fucking baller time. I am starting to have my brain like slowly like, you know, switch off and shit like that because I'm finally getting a hit from the weed and shit. Absolutely fantastic time. The last time I took weed, I felt nothing, so somehow this one did a really good hit on me. I think because of the mix of booze is what did it for me. And so then we're in this like rave, we're having a little bit of quick dance for one music or something like that. Frack and Fox are very exhausted and such. I'm dancing with Unnamed. We stay there for one song. The DJ's like in the middle of the dance floor or something like that, rather than off to the side, so we got really close and shit. And then Unnamed says the magical words, or it's trying to convince me that of why Whataburger is not mid, and they goes, we need to go to Whataburger. And so there is an adventure with the four of us: Unnamed, Fox, Frack, and myself. We go and catch ourselves an Uber, and we go to a Whataburger. Now, I have had Whataburger before. Now, I had Whataburger in the airport, and the opinion I had about Whataburger at the time was it was mid. It was not that amazing. And Unnamed was like, you idiot, Grant. That's not how you have Whataburger. Whataburger is when you're meant to have it at 2 a.m, when you're drunk off your ass and needing something to eat. And so this is the attempt that we try and do. So we get to the Whataburger. It's the middle of the night. I find out the Whataburger, the burger meal that I want, and we wait in a booth waiting for my order to arrive and shit like that. At this point, I have taken off my fursuit head. Unnamed is having a conversation with their wife in the middle of the night, and they're saying they're having such a fun time and that they love their wife and that they're so appreciative that I'm there and that Fox is there and Frack is taking care of them. And then I am stoned out of my mind, it turns out. I didn't realize this, but apparently the way Unnamed explains it is that I did not blink at all during this time. They hand me the phone that has their wife on the line, says, Grant wants to talk to you. And I'm like, what? Okay. And then I don't know what it is about me, but when you find me drunk or high or whatever kinds of under the influence, the autism in me decides to make me into a chilled out, calm individual. I am very much one of those uncles that will not, go into crazy mode. I will just very much be in, I'm trying to have a good time. I'm trying not to rock the boat. So I have a conversation with Unnamed's wife, and I'm like, "Hi, it's great to hear from you. Thank you so much for the zebra plushie." I'm being polite as possible, and at one point I was like, very quickly was trying to be like, I thanks for chatting. I don't imagine you'd want to stay up all night. I like talking to us, and she's like, "Oh no, that's okay. Hey, this kind of thing is very helpful," or something or other. I'm like, "Oh, that's really not." And I was like, oh, okay, that's nice to know. Well, I'm really thankful for Unnamed inviting me. I really appreciate it, and I'm having a wonderful time thanks to him. And she's like, that is so great. I then hand the phone back to Unnamed, so then that way he can talk to his wife more. They talk for a little bit more. They hang up the phone when the Whataburger arrives. We're having Whataburger, drunk or stoned or both. And at this point, it was actually kind of enjoyable. It's still a mid-burger, don't get me wrong, but it was a mid-burger that I feel like was, definitely not hampering the mood of us in the middle of the night and what have you. We catch an Uber back to the hotel. We bump into Folksy and Goopy or something like that, or whatever the fuck their name is, and I decide to get another, hit of the weed pipe or something like that while I was there, and was just, calm as a cucumber, pickled. And so, yeah, by then, it's like 2 a.m. I'm tired. I'm zoned out. I just want to sleep. And so I went to sleep. Saturday. Alrighty then. So, for Saturday, this was when we did way more Dallas Texan bullshit. We went to a Buc-ee's. We went to a Texas Roadhouse for lunch. We went to the Texas Roadhouse before the Buc-ee's. So I understand that there's a picture of Buc-ee's here with like the plaque with the longitude and latitude, but hear me out. We didn't go to Buc-ee's first. We went to the Texas Roadhouse. Texas Roadhouse was delicious, all right? It was an amazing time. I love the butter for the bread. It was fantastic. There was this entree called Snake Bites, which was delicious. The entrees were delicious. The steak was well done. Not meaning well done as in like, cooked to well done. I went for a medium. It was cooked to medium, exactly as I asked, and it was a delicious steak. I absolutely loved it. I highly recommend Texas Roadhouse for any tourist of going to Dallas, Texas or anything like that. It was absolutely fantastic. Sly Fox and I went for some chili as well. We both had the same thought where the chili should have had more beans in it. There wasn't enough beans in the chili, and he and I had that, once again, having a moment of, you and I, kindred spirits right now. So we finish with our lunch in the Texas Roadhouse, and we end up at Buc-ee's. Nothing explained to me about Buc-ee's could prepare me for when I entered in the Buc-ee's. The way Buc-ee's was explained to me was that it was a truck stop with a bit of extra shit in it. It was way more than just a truck stop with extra shit in it. It was a truck stop with a gift store, and not just a small gift shop, but a massive gift shop. Look at this. There's all kinds of farm animal shit. There was another section for Buc-ee's, merchandise, shirts, baby dolls, magnets, car things, backpacks, hats. There was all kinds of stuff Buc-ee's related. And what's more is, even while we were in this Buc-ee's, too soon. Even while we were in this Buc-ee's, I didn't take a photo of it, but the Buc-ee's also had deli meats. They had They had brisket sandwiches. They had, beaver nuggets or something like that, which was basically, sweetened popcorn. They had beef jerkies. They had all kinds of foods and confectionery items in there. I went and got myself some Buc-ee's magnets and some Buc-ee's shirts because I needed to organize some gifts shopping for my family. And I'll be real with you, Buc-ee's was a magical time. Buc-ee's was amazing. It, nothing prepared me for it, and I think that's what made the magic of it so wonderful for me, is that there wasn't a great way of describing it, and what's more is I'm not really doing a good job describing the Buc-ee's to you as well, and I don't have a lot of photo evidence for the Buc-ee's, so I can't really help you out with that. I am so sorry. Sly Fox did an explanation of the Buc-ee's as well, and they've got a few more photos of it as well. Now, after the Buc-ee's, what did I do after the Buc-ee's? More fursuiting around and such like that. And what's more is this was fairly fun fursuiting because the Saturday night was going to have now, as you know, I am a himbo. There's a few himbo thingamadiggies here and there. I took some pictures of fursuiters and such like that. There was this one doing some Goku stuff. I've only just noticed that the fursuit, beans have, the what's-my-who's-he stars? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is clever as fuck. I absolutely love this, Protogen Goku thing. It was fantastic. Oh, look, there's, a little goat over there, and then there's, some fursuit head over there with the tail. It was absolutely fantastic. Now, one of the things I did was I went to the Bimbo's meet and greet. And one of the things happening at the Bimbo's meet and greet was there was going to be this sort of charity show or something like that, where basically a few members of the Bimbos and the Himbos and the Thembos would go on stage and they would do a dance routine or something like that. And it was all for the sake of, attracting donors to give tips to the dancers and what have you, and all proceeds would go to charity. I was able to meet up with different kinds of bimbos and himbos and such like that. I was able to see Lily. There's Fiona Murray, absolutely excited to see me for the first, because we've known each other for years. We have known each other for a good number of years via Discord. Or just, sort of hanging out and chatting and what have you. But this was the first time we were meeting. It was amazing to meet up with them, and we posed and such. Fiona was people were asking for Fiona's photos on that day. Oh, so much. It was absolutely insane. And then this was another person I met at Xeno. She was absolutely fantastic to meet as well. And also you can see here, this little hand blower, this canless air. Fucking amazing. Wolfram air blower 1000 or something like that. Absolutely amazing. Highly recommend it for when you're fursuiting and you want to just get a blast of air into your face. So yeah. And then there was a few other things. There was this giant it looks like a poodle inflatable, which was kind of cool. One of those party animal balloons folded in. It was pretty cool. Someone was posing as Leon Kennedy, which was kind of cool. Then we had Cult of the Lamb, the duo. That was pretty cool. And then this was the stage for the Bimbo furry meet and such like that. Now, I have the video, but I've not yet double checked the video and for sharing and all that kind of nonsense here. I should have done that, but nasally kind of nonsense in my nose and what have you. So I didn't actually get around to doing that. But the reason why I was at the front of the row is because I was one of I think there was 6 of us in total. I was one of the 6 people who had to do a dance routine in front of a whole ton of people that were oodling and wooing and whistling and shit like that, because I was one of the himbos. And look, there's all kinds of people behind us and nonsense. And there's a little DJ sound person all the way in the back there. So yeah. And then, after the bimbo dance routine and such like that, I posed with a few more of the contestants. That's Fifi. This is Teska. They didn't do a furry, they didn't do a dance routine. Oh yeah, and that's Saturday. So yeah, so there was all kinds of nonsense here. But basically, at the front of the stage, each of Lamau, is that Jamie Jars? Who? Where? That's Frosty Claus. Don't know who. But yeah, so basically, at the front of this stage, after we all. The right, the human. No idea. Ding, donk. Ding, ding. But yeah, so we stood at the front of the stage. Oh, Fiona. It doesn't say. I can't see. But yeah, we stood at the front of the stage after our we stood at the front of the stage after we all did our dance routine with a little bucket, and the idea is that people would tip us like, you know, coins or notes and shit like that. I thought I did a very poor job because all I did was, you know, do some flexes, like, you know, showing off my muscles, just being like, yeah. And then I went and did the fucking Manderville. So if any of you have any idea of what the Manderville is, basically imagine this. I did this poorly in front of the audience. Dink, dunk. Cannot tell similar face, but suit, so probably not. Ah, okay. So yeah, I basically did this number. People were up there for like 2 minutes or something like that. I could only handle like less than a minute on there. Cookie for Kib. Here's your cookie. So I could only do like, I did like less than a minute, and it was like, I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh god, everyone is doing so much better. That like everyone's pulling out the full 9 yards. There was ladies that were doing like a proper belly dance. One of them pulled out a fucking violin or fiddle. Like they pulled out a fiddle and were just going. Hang on, isn't that a bimbo himbo panel? It is a bimbo himbo panel. Try to keep up, Danny. I'm explaining like the whole timeline thingamadiggies. But yeah, so we all stood up at the front after we all did our dance routine and such with our little buckets and what have you. And I thought there would be no, like, I don't think anyone would give me like, you know, donations and such like that, because there were far more phenomenal people like, you know, doing a dance routine or some sort of talent on the stage. And here I was doing like, here I was like just flexing and doing a Manderville emote once or twice. I still got people donating to me, amazingly enough. One of them like went up to me and they were like, this is why I'm gay or something like that. Like, I don't know if that was an insult or a compliment at the time, because, you know, it's all a flurry. I wish I kept a recording or something like that when I was like just sort of standing at the front there. But basically, I had people putting in ones. I think I even saw someone put in like a 20 at one point. That was kind of insane. And we all put in our little buckets over to like Fiona and like one of their handlers or something like that. Basically, this woman here on the left, she took our money and such like that from the buckets and collated like who raised the most money and such like that. I don't know where I was in the, like, there was like, I think 6 of us, and they were doing like a top 3. Fifi the bimbo dog came first. She did a really cool job. I'll be frank with you. Where is the contestant not there? Darn. There was one furry that pulled out a fiddle, which was fucking amazing. They should have won first. So yeah. And so, it's now, you know, the middle of the night. We go to the rave and what have you. I'll be frank with you. Raves are probably not my thing. I went into this rave with a fursuit head. I didn't have earplugs. I really wish I had earplugs for this thing. And we're all hanging out here and such like that. Unnamed and and Fox are having an absolutely fantastic time. I think they were drunk, and they were trying to get me to like, you know, get drunk as well and such like that. But for whatever reason, I wasn't like 100% in on it. And I just didn't want to like drink from a buzzball. I did drink from a Johnny Walker, like, because I felt bad and I wanted to be like, nah, I want to join in on the fun and shit like that. So there was that. Then we got interrupted by some dude in a suit who got really handsy with me and they were like, complimenting my fursuit and they were saying they were having such an amazing time and they absolutely love my persona and the suit. And unnamed and Fox and Frack are there, and they're taking photos of me with this person. And then at one point, this guy whips out a vape and he's like, "Hey, do you want to have a rockin' time or a sleepy time?" I don't know what possessed me. I don't know if it's because I was a fucking idiot and was like, I want to catch up to the same fun feelings as Unnamed is having in the group, or that I was just quite honestly like, addicted or some shit. I don't know what it was, but I went and grabbed the sleepy time from the random stranger and took a hit. That was a terrible idea because total stranger danger. Like you would think I would have like learned better from peer pressure and shit like that, but I didn't. PSA, people, do not accept things from strangers, whether it's, water, drugs, alcohol, or any of that kind of nonsense. This was all rigged from the start. I warned you. Yep. And so I'm there in the rave, I'm trying to get into the mental state of like, oh, this will be fun and enjoyable, but the music is too loud for me and I don't have earplugs to put into my head to, drown out the noise a little bit and try and have a little more enjoyable time. And then because of that add-on thing of like, that random dude, letting me take a hit and shit, I had this moment of like, Grant, you fucking idiot. You have no idea who that was and you just took a hit. You don't know what was in there. You are probably going to have a very bad time. And turns out my brain decided to do that anxiety thing of like just going through a loop of like, try not to panic, but you did all this wrong stuff. You're going to have a terrible time. And so lo and behold, I had a terrible time. I was not in the headspace, and I was like I was now being hyper aware of like where everyone was and trying not to ruin anyone's night. At this point, however, I couldn't stand up to the front where Unnamed, Fox, and Frack were, so I kept my distance, just sort of bobbing my head and such. At one point, Unnamed moved away from the crowd, from the group, and was going off somewhere else, being a free spirit, they would describe it as. So I keep an eye on them from a distance. Fox and Frack meet up with me, and they're like, keep watch here. Where is Unnamed? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure. And like the problem is because I looked down at my phone for a brief moment, I lost track of where Unnamed was in this rave, and I felt really horrible. So I'm standing there with Fox. Fox has their little plushie thing, as you see there. And I am now very much aware of, oh God, I am having a bad trip, and I've lost Unnamed, and I feel like a terrible friend. So by the time we find Unnamed or something like that, and I'm trying to hold on to him, making him not run away, and he's like, no, be free, or something like that. At which point, I'm like, Fox and I are still together, and then I see Frack, and I'm trying to shout out for Frack. I'm probably not doing a really good job because, one, no idea what my noise level would be like, and two, we're in the middle of a rave. He's not going to hear us. So he's running around and such like that. I'm trying to stay close to Unnamed, in which case, thank Christ, Frack found us and basically spear tackled Unnamed to stop him from running around and running away. At this point, I have not had a good time because of the hit I had earlier, and I was just panicky as fuck, and the last thing I wanted to do was, cause an incident on the rave floor or get Frack worried and shit. So I talked to them and I said, hey, I'm just gonna head back to my hotel room. I'm not feeling all up for this. The music is too loud and what have you. I'm so sorry. And Frack was like, understandable. Hopefully you get back safely and such. Thankfully, I was able to get back safely, and I'm just sitting in my bed. I've taken all my fursuit shit off, and I'm just like, wait a minute. Isn't there a fentanyl crisis going off in Texas? And for whatever reason, I was worried that I had fentanyl in my system, so I started Googling symptoms and what to do if you do get hit with fentanyl and shit like that. And thankfully, it was a case of, oh, you will know in 2 minutes if you're having a fentanyl overdose. And I'm like, It's been half an hour. And so I'm just staying up in bed, being hyper aware of like, okay, do not have low labored breathing. Do not have an increased heart rate. Calm down. And I'm just waiting there. And thank Christ, Cramp arrived. And Cramp was like, they were just like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing all right. I just wasn't a huge fan of the raid. He's like, yeah, all good, all good. You want some water? And I'm like, yes, I would love some water. Once Cramp arrived, they got themselves ready for bed. I was already sitting in bed, and I was like, you know what? Whatever my mood or what my brain is at right now, Cramp is here right now. I can go to bed safely, and if anything bad happens, Cramp is here. Maybe it'll do. Like, I don't think I'm going to be in any big trouble. And so, I go to bed. Feeling like an absolute idiot from the whole thing. And so Sunday arrives. Sunday is a much slower day. I'm cleaning up my fursuit. I'm wiping it down with a spot thingamadiggy because I'll be frank with you, like Friday night totally fine with taking like a hit from a friend's vape and shit like that. Saturday night taking it from a complete stranger. Oh no, I felt like I had like the, you know, an absolute like, you know, crisis of faith and shit like that. And I was like, you should never do that again. And so I'm like just cleaning up my fursuit and like, you know, wiping down like the arms, the head, the tail, and I'm packing up my things. And so, you know, I just go around, like we just look around and see what's going on and such like that. And because I'm flying out Monday. And so on Sunday, I did some last minute like things like picking up butterscotch chiplets and gifts and shit. And I pack up my suitcase. This is what my travel suitcase looks like. I have a second suitcase for the fursuit and shit. And there was also things in that first suitcase besides the fursuit. But this one here, I had to stuff up as much as I could. And so, you know, Sunday, slow day and what have you. And then we get to Monday. And Monday, I'm flying out. I get myself a McDonald's burger for lunch. I find this person has a suitcase with a cup holder in it, which I thought was absolutely American and funny. So I went and took a photo of that. And then, like, you know, a few hours, you know, we're flying into LAX. I did a mistake. I was on an exit row. And I read I was on like row 15 or 16. And row 16. I look at the ticket. It says row 16. I sit down at row 15. I made a huge mistake. So when the person who actually sits at row 15 comes along and they look at the exit row that I'm supposed to be in. They look at the row that I'm in and they're like, excuse me, what's the number on your ticket? And I'm like 15. And I'm like 15A. And they're like, okay, that's mine as well. I'm like, hang on a second. I checked the ticket. I got it wrong. I was supposed to be in 16A. I'm supposed to be in the row behind me. And I'm like, and I'm like, is it okay if we can swap? Because I already sat down and there's like two people already sitting beside me. It would have been a mess and a half trying to, you know, move elsewhere. And the exit row had a little more legroom. She's like, yeah, know what? It's fine. And I'm like, okay, thank goodness. I still felt absolutely terrible for that. But yeah, 4 hours later, I arrive in LA. It's like 7 in the evening. Had to dip away and come back to plush and bag. They got you, I see. Yep, they did. So yeah, so I get into LAX. I find this fucking mural, which is absolutely funny. I shared it to Sunny the Gator being like, look, Sunny's family is in LAX. They thought it was funny. I really appreciate that. So I'm sitting there waiting in the terminal for like, you know, first like several hours, and I check in because I'm going from an American Airlines flight to a Qantas flight. So I check in. The front desk was so nice. They were initially concerned of like, hey, do you have a visa to enter Australia? And I'm like, I'm an American. Because I entered into the US on my American passport, and I was leaving on my American passport, and I was like, no, I'm an Australian citizen. And like, you know, I don't need a visa. And they're like, do you have another passport? I'm like, yes, I do. And I give them my Australian passport. And so what they do is they check me in again, this time on my Australian passport. And I was able to get a fresh new ticket in the Qantas, you know, style and such like that. And so on that flight, Normally, flights are fully booked, international flight-wise. This one, for whatever reason, at like 10 in the evening and wouldn't arrive until the next day, there was a lot of empty seats. So even though I was on a seat where there was like someone occupying it left and right of me, the minute we finished takeoff, they like the seatbelt sign goes off and the other two people beside me go sitting in other spots around the plane. So then that way they had like a little more like, you know, spread outness and such like that. I didn't mind. I liked it. I had some earplugs thanks to Clarkson Otter. And I was able to get like, you know, 5 or 6 hours of sleep on that ride home. It was a 13-hour flight, and I was able to sleep for like under half of it and such, which was okay. I fly on the Monday, arriving on the Wednesday. The disadvantage of flying over the international date line when you're going from US to Australia, you lose a day, unfortunately. And because I left on the Monday evening, I was basically losing all of Tuesday because of that. And so I arrived early Wednesday morning, and then I was greeted with this funny sign. Caution, snakes sighted in this area. I knew I was home. Yet back in Texas, they were like my family's like, oh, be careful of ice. Oh, be careful of, like, you know, stressed out drivers. Be careful of guns. I come back into Australia and we get a fucking sign for snakes sighted in the area. They're not venomous snakes or anything like that, as far as we know. They just gave us a warning of, hey, there's going to be snakes around. And then this is the photo. This is the furry group photo that they took back on Saturday. Now, I wonder, can any of you see where I am in this photo? Like, do you see me? Am I all the way back here? Hey, look, there's a Vaporeon over there. Fedora tipping over there. Akatsuki clouds over there. There's a deer in a dapper suit over there. There's a tiger. Oh, Blue sees me. Who else sees me? Type 1 if you can see me. Type 2 if you've lost the zebra in the crowd. Where's Wally Andy? All right, so Blue's found me. Who else has found me? Fizz Tiger has found me. Nice, nice. Hey, look, that's some Sylveon colors up there. That's some Sylveon colors right there. Danny has found me. Angrel has found me. Alrighty then. Was I down here? Was I over here? Or maybe I'm all the way over here. You know what? Enhance. Enhance. Oh wait, I can enhance in here. There I am. Look at me. There I am. Dun, 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 dun. There's the goober, exactly. Front and center of the camera. I was very lucky to get there. It would have been cooler if I was all the way up at the front, but this is where I am. Like, I'll be frank with you, considering like how close to the center I am, like I'm just off to the right. Like, look at that. Oh my god, I just realized behind me is the Whatsmahoozie from the Magus Bride. Look at that. Got a good spot though. They did better than Furdu, you know, getting everyone in there. Well, yeah, I'll be frank with you. Furdu is one of those, like, here's the thoughts I have. So we're getting close to like, you know, at some point I'm going to need to disconnect because I have like a Easter thingamadiggy I need to get to, and I need to get changed for it and everything. Here is my opinion on my trip to the furry fiesta and what have you. Grant, god damn it, there's an advertisement going on right now, so many of you are not going to hear it. So God damn you, Jack. Hi there, Shibori. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. It has been a long, long minute. Thanks for the pause there. Yeah, I missed the response. All good. All good. So, alrighty. Yes, I know there's an ad, Danny. There's another 30 seconds to go before the advertisement is over. Classic ad timing. Yep, exactly. Alrighty. Yeah, great timing for the sounds of it. So yeah, alright, so we're out of advertisement. Excellent. Alright, so final thoughts about the Texas Furry Fiesta. I had a wonderful time in Dallas. The reason I had a wonderful time is because I was hanging out with the Unnamed Gene, Sly Fox, Clarkson, Victoria, Cramp. I was hanging out with all kinds of furries. And I'll be frank with you, some of the best times I had were agnostic to the Texas Furry Fiesta. Now, there were some positive moments. I went to a content creators meetup. I went to a Hooves meetup. I did a sticker exchange. I was at the Bimbo and Himbo meet and greet. Now, apparently the Bimbo meet and greet that we went to normally goes off at like 6 or 7 p.m. But in this one, we didn't have it going on until midnight, which was a little unfortunate. So that one is not like a proper, that one wasn't like, you know, at a really good time. So it was kind of sped run and such like that. So I didn't have a really good time. I didn't have a great moment of being able to like go to all the different fursuiters and being like, hey, I love your outfit. Let's have a photo together or any of that kind of nonsense. And so, the Texas Furry Fiesta trip was amazing. Though I would say it was amazing because of going to Dallas and being with friends and trying out Dallas things, more so than the Texas Furry Fiesta. If I was going to Dallas, like, if I had the option between going to Dallas with friends or going to Dallas for Texas Furry Fiesta with no friends, I would go to Dallas with the friends. Like 9 times out of 10. I think that's, like, probably where I'm at right now with conventions and what have you. Is I don't think with where I am with, like, you know, I don't have a handler, the panels that I go to, like, I don't have, like, that. I don't have that many positive experiences. I have very neutral experiences at furry conventions. But when I'm going with friends, it is absolutely fantastic. And in this trip, I think helped, like, you know, settle that in my mind for me. I was way more interested in hanging out with people, and we had an itinerary for all of us to do things together, more so than the convention was happening. Now, Jenna the Giant apparently does this yearly thing, and I think she has the right idea of it, where instead of going to a furry convention with her friends, she and her friends organize like this expensive Airbnb thing where instead of spending like $1,000 a piece for like a long weekend at a furry convention, they instead spend like $400 or $500 on a, like, for their share in an Airbnb, like a massive Airbnb, and they've got a whole itinerary together. And I think that is probably what I want going forward in these meetups and what have you, is that I'm not interested in going to like Furry Down Under or Aurora or any of these furry conventions for the sake of, oh, it's a furry convention and as a furry I should attend these. That's not, I don't want to do them for that.
Glug, glub, glug, glub, glug.
Yep, sippy time. Here we go. What I want to do instead is I want to go and hang out with people. 100% feel that. Cons feel more just an excuse to get folks out, but it's more or hang with folks. My pal Drake does that, and they went on a cruise with a few furs instead. Yes, exactly. I think the furry the purpose of the furry convention, yes, you get yourself surrounded with like other furries and shit like that. But I feel like we are social creatures at heart. And while you are introverted, it is very hard making these social connections and what have you. And while the furry convention does, do some positives, I think if you are introverted and you are surrounded by other introverted people, you're not going to get like those connections very easily at a furry convention. Like, I've felt this at Furdo, and I've also seen this in Texas Furry Fiesta, which is many of us, if you are in a group already, you're not likely to expand your group during that short weekend to be like, oh, hey, check out this guy, this random that I just met at Texas Furry Fiesta. Let's do some things together. That is a rarity. The fact that I was invited to a Genghis Grill by Fiona Murray was a crazy coincidence. And what's more is when I went to the Genghis Grill, I didn't have one-on-one time with Fiona. I instead hung out with completely random people, and I honestly forgot their names, which is a little unfortunate, but it was still a wonderful time. There was a driver named Mutt. They were doing a they did like an amazing drive. They were in like a Chevy Charger or something like that, which was fun. I talked to some other person that was like a Blue Dragon or something like that. And, it was interesting, like having chats about like spicy foods and like, the benefits of Buc-ee's and like the crazy, pay that people get for like their bathrooms and such. And so, yeah, so there were some positive moments that could only have been done because of the furry convention. But they were more because of connections with friends in the fandom than the fandom, supporting the convention. If I am to do something like this again, I would probably have more of like a 70-30 split. 70% being friends itinerary and such like that, and then 30% or less of the furry convention. That's probably how I would go about doing it. Because even though I was in Dallas, even though I was there for a week, there were still things I didn't get to do. So, for instance, we didn't go to a Medieval Times. We didn't go to a local Texas barbecue. We didn't go to a firing range. I didn't go to the Warhammer store. That was on the to-do list, but unnamed, and a few other people went to that one on one random day, but I didn't go on that one random day, which was a little unfortunate. I would have loved to hang out with Sly Fox more often. I would have loved to hang out with Frack more, but I am very thankful for the time I had in Dallas, thanks to Clarkson, Victoria, Cramp, Sunny. I had an amazing time, and it was not because of a furry convention, but because of the friends along the way. So that's like my closing thoughts on it, is that, am I going to go to Texas Furry Fiesta next year? No. Am I going to go to it at some point in the future? Maybe. Never say never. So, but I very much am of the thought of, if I'm going to hang out with furries again, it's not going to be because there's a furry convention. It's going to be because they want to hang out as friends. We want to come together. We have an itinerary. We have plans. We're not coming together because, oh, we're going to bump into each other at a furry convention and we'll, maybe do something when we're together. No. I'm not interested in that. I have done that 3 times at the Furry Down Under, and I'll be frank with you, the only successful Furry Down Under I had was when I had to do a shit ton of planning, organizing however many people I could, and it was only through the good graces of Blue Foxy Nicey Icy that I had a good time in that Furry Down Under. If I am going to be hanging out with furries, it's not going to be because of a furry convention randomly going off and maybe we get together. It's going to be because there's a group of us and we all decided, hey, it would be fantastic if us as friends did these things together, whether or not there's a furry convention going off. That's how I would treat this. So, yeah. Would I do what's something different I would do with furry conventions? I think number 1, get myself a handler. Figure out how I can go to these furry conventions with stickers or business cards and have someone with me. So then that way, if like, you know, stickers or business cards are given to me, I'm able to have them easily held onto them, like with a bum bag or something like that. If someone wants photos with me, I'm able to do the photos with them and have a copy of the photos. If someone wants to do videos, we can do that. I feel like so much of the furry convention, like, yes, there can be some success in doing it by yourself, but if I'm in fursuit, I need an extra pair of hands and an extra brain to help me with it. I need to have someone being able to be like, you know, like, hey, you know, let's have some photos with these people. Let me take a photo of you with them and such like that. Like, I need a +1, basically. And I need, like, that, like, I can't ask someone to be a +1 just to be my handler. I feel like I would need to figure out, like, how to do that, like, without detrimenting their experiences at the furry convention. I don't know how they do that. I should probably ask, like, you know, people who have been handlers in the past to suss out, like, how do handlers, you know, how do they, you know, balance the whole, I'm going to furry convention and I'm helping out a fursuiter. Like, what do they do? But yeah, that's basically it for me. I, like, normally Sundays I do, like, you know, 4-hour streams and what have you, but you know, I don't really have all that time because I've got to go to an Easter event today. And one of the things I want to do is I want to do a little bit of redecorating in my apartment. I want to move this office space. I want to move it out from this tiny room into the larger living room that I have, because the larger living room has air conditioning in there. It has a lot more space. So that way, when I do at one point set up a VR, you know, area, the VR is way more spacious in there. But I do need to clean up my apartment. I need to, you know, make sure things have their place, and I need to try and move some stuff around. So then that way there is space for my desk and all of my office gear to go in there. I don't know how exactly I'm going to do that, but I'm going to have my sister help me at least tomorrow. Does this mean I'll be streaming tomorrow evening? Who knows? My sister is going to hopefully help me in the late morning, and we'll try and get something done. I will do my best, but I want to have a better... Hi there, Frack. Get out of the cowboy paint. What? Why would you say such a thing? Also, shoutouts. Hang on. You weren't here for a lot of it, Frack. I don't know if you were lurking and such like that, but shout out to Frack. You honestly were such a great person to hang out with. What the fuck is happening? Hi there, Izzy. I've just been chatting for the last 2 hours about my Texas Furry Fiesta excursion and such like that. Frack, I am so thankful to have met you. You were probably one of the coolest cucumbers that I met, and I feel really bad that I didn't keep a good eye on Unnamed that Saturday night. I was not in the right headspace, and I shouldn't have taken that hit from that stranger. But, you know, like, I very much love the vibe that you were being, like, I don't know if this was on purpose, but you very much gave me the inclusion of, you were the staff sergeant that had to deal with whatever monkeys in their circus, despite the fact you don't want to deal with the monkeys. But yeah, so that's going to be it for me this morning. I've got an Easter thing I need to get to in the afternoon, and then when that's over, I'm probably going to do some cleanup in my apartment and try and move my office from being in this tiny room out into the bigger room. Because if I can get it out in the bigger room, then that means I can set up my VR once again, and I can, like, you know, not feel claustrophobic while I'm sitting in this room for, like, the next, like, you know, 4 hours or something crazy like that. But I need to clean up the living room. I was asking about the office thing. Oh, the office thing. Yeah, so I'm in this small office space and such like that, and it's not big enough to do room tracking in VR, and I would like to have room tracking in VR again. So mix in the fact that if I'm in this small room, I feel, you know, really claustrophobic and, like, you know, kind of locked in and shit like that, which I don't like if I'm working from home for like 7.5 hours. I want to move my desk, my PC, and my monitors and all that kind of nonsense. I want to move it from out in this small bedroom out into the living room I have. Like, you won't see a visual difference. Resident, thank you for the gifted sub.
Resident Fed Boy, for the tier 1 gift sub to Izzy Fat Cat.
Thank you so much for the gifted sub to Izzy the Fat Cat. I greatly appreciate it. Congratulations, Izzy. You don't have to deal with any advertisement, and you get to utilize all of... Oh, why did Izzy do a... That's interesting. Why did Izzy get a fishing thing? Any whoosies. But yeah, so you won't see any, like, visual changes behind me unless I decide to do, like, another VR... not VR. If I decide to do another 3D, like, you know, render or something like that. But, yeah, hopefully when I get done with, like, reorganizing my furniture and such like that tomorrow, I will be in a much better headspace for doing streams when I'm stuck at home all day. Because that's one of the other things, is, like, I don't want to be stuck because if I'm stuck in a tiny room all day, I don't feel like I'm in the right headspace to be streaming 4 hours straight in a tiny spot. I would much rather be in a much bigger area, so then that way I can, like, get up and walk around during that day, and then when it comes to streaming, I'm able to, like, lock in and sit down and what have you. But yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. Let's see who is online. Oh, you know what? Sunny the Gator is online. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna raid into Sunny the Gator. Hopefully this is the right Sunny. The channel is intended for mature audiences. Yep, I totally understand that. That is fine by me. Alrighty then. We are gonna go... So... Alrighty. I am gonna go with a short... Back from TFF, back to Himboism. If you are not subscribed, that's okay. You're welcome to use whatever other kinds of emotes that you want. That's totally fair. Wish I had more room where I am for an office space. Anyway, have a great Easter, Grant. Was happy to hear the tales. All good, Angrel. I will have the video, like, you know, on my YouTube as well. So if you've missed anything, it's available as a VOD on Twitch right now, or like after stream. Otherwise, it will at the end of the week, I'll probably upload it to YouTube and like, you know, be available there if you miss out on it in the first 30 days. But yeah. Our raid message will be back from TFF, back to Himboism. If you are not subscribed, you are welcome to use whatever other kinds of emotes you want. I won't question it. Oh my god, who decided to start a hype train? Why is there a hype train? That makes no sense. Hello, Digimon. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, evening, night as we go and raid into the Sunny Gator. Bye-bye.